to bring up a case because, speaking of crime, I find it quite upsetting, actually. Police officers, they are trying now, they're appealing for the public's health, so I want you all to get your eyes peeled, particularly if you're anywhere near Hackney. A van has been stolen. This is the registration plate. It's a Ford Transit van. It's grey. The registration plate is B. I'm going to go all thingy, Bravo, Golf 72, Whiskey, Bravo, Tango. Now, this is not any normal van. This is a little boy's van. He's terminally ill, and this is what his family used to help transport him around. His mum says, I'm appealing to everyone to keep an eye out. This is not just a vehicle, it's a lifeline. It's our road to freedom. Without it, our poor boy cannot see in his final days. Every day is an extension of his life, she says, and we thank God for them. But they need that vehicle back. Keep your eyes peeled. I just think people are just scum. Sorry, I probably shouldn't be using those phrases, but I just think who sits there, steals a van, realises it's got some medical stuff in it and keeps it dry? Who does that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't imagine they knew that was the case. And I'm not making excuses.
You'd soon realise, Alex, you'd soon realise.
That's true, but they then, assuming that they would get caught if they took it back, just dumped it, as I imagine what was happening.
Well, just dump it and ring the police then and tell them where it is.
I follow.
Anyway, I'll get off my high horse. 1 in 5 teachers have apparently been hit by pupils this year. Apparently, kids at school, their behaviour is getting worse and worse and worse. Many teachers are saying it's since COVID. Parents apparently less tolerant, and they've lost respect for school rules. What do you think is going on, Alex?
So both my parents are teachers, and it's a profession I greatly respect. And in another life, I might have gone into it myself. Tony Blair was the master of talking about this because he presided over a large part of this cultural change. But nevertheless, what he said to Michael Howard over the dispatch box was this: when you and I were at school, if you got in trouble at school, you got in trouble at home. And that's not true anymore. Blair was, because it was happening on Blair's watch, basically, but he was still, there is a real truth in that. And if anything, it's got worse. Parents fear, not only if they tell the child that they're wrong, the child's going to kick off. They fear that instead of the parent backing them up, the parent's going to come in and complain about them, or even worse. So it's not just the child you've got to be concerned about, it's the parent too. And I think that's a dreadful state of affairs.
Kerry?
I do think too much is being... I think COVID was a problem in people have lost the respect for education, given that, teachers and teaching unions said, shut them down, and kept calling for even greater school closures, and that learning from home was fine, which it clearly isn't. And there are now thousands of kids learning from home. So I think education's lost some of its kudos, but I think there is something more problematic, and that is loss of teachers' authority and politicians expecting schools to make up for social ills. So we've entirely instrumentalised education. It's supposed to now cure all social ills. But teachers now have to do, all this, everything from teaching net zero to pronouns to critical race theory, you name it, instead of passing on the best of what is known in terms of knowledge, which is what we need them to do.
Sure.
When they are given this huge thing to do and are also terrified of being disciplinarian, and we've seen that with Catherine Birbal-Singh and the Michaela School, where discipline comes in and you lay a real foundation for kids to be independent and to think critically by being respectful and having greater communication. When that breaks down, I don't see what kids are leaving school with. And it's a vicious circle. The more you have a breakdown in authority, the more you have a breakdown in discipline, the less kids go to school, the less they care about education, the more disrespectful and so on.
But Michelle, you were asking us why it's happening, and you got one answer from Kerry about COVID. Let me try another one, which I think runs rather deeper. People, on the one hand, say they're aghast at the collapse of discipline in our schools. On the other hand, many people, often the same people, will say, it's wrong to expel a child too quickly. You've got to give children every opportunity. And so, first of all, there's not the short, sharp shock of the example to you of a child who's misbehaved being severely dealt with. But children are suspended again and again and again, rather than finally being expelled. And within their authorities, they will often then go to every single school, every single mainstream school, before finally they wind up in a school that is dedicated for looking after those who simply cannot be disciplined. And that is a big part of the disruption in school.
I think you make a good point. One of my viewers David says, Michelle, when you're talking about crime, one of the issues here is our judges that hand out very weak sentences.